So a very good evening, of course, almost good evening. Very good evening to everyone. We understood yesterday, we debated on creation of small states, whether we should, whether we should not. We had that debate. Ultimately, we settled on the question, it does not matter. Whether you have the big states, you have small state, you have number state, you have few states. What matters is governance. How the people of that state vote for the leaders, how much the people of that state is concerned about their voting powers. Governance matters. If you have good governance, even a big state can govern better. If you have bad governance, then even a smaller state will be a worse state. So we concluded at that point. I hope everyone is clear on that. Today we will resume our fundamental rights. So in that, I believe we had done Article 12 and 13. Dictation was not done, I think. Dictation was not done. No? Okay. Please write down then Article 12 and 13. Write down. Then we will move to Article 14. Write down Article 12. Within this, write down the Article 12. The Article 12 defines the word state. Defines the word state, that is the organs, on which the part of fundamental right, is applied. Fundamental right is applied. Full stop. A general sense, general, general. A general sense can be driven. A general sense can be driven to state. A general sense can be driven to state that any body which is either controlled by the government, or the government has majority of the stakes, So it's a general sense. Okay. For example, if I say I have a company XYZ, Government of India owns 51% of the shares. So is it a government company or not? People online, what do you think? It's a government company. It is. Let's take another example. For example, there is a company XYZ. That company basically, मान लेते हैं 20% is owned by central government and 31% is owned by state government. So is it a government company now? Yeah. The logic is more than 51%. So always remember there is a distinction. One is we call as government service. Other we call as PSUs. Service. Both are different things. Remember, government service, for example, where you work for the government exclusively. For example, IAS, IPS, state PCS and all, SSC and whatever. They are government services. PSU is different. PSU, you can say, is like a government job, but it is not a government job. For example, if you are in State Bank of India, SBI, that is a government-owned company, but you are not subjected to the rules of the Government of India. You are subjected to the rules of SBI. That may or may not be the same. Depends upon the organization. Tomorrow, imagine if the Government of India withdraws its money and it now acquires only 49% of the shares. Then still government has majority of the shares. Other people may have 10%, 20%, but Government of India has 49% of the shares. The other people can come together and control SBI. So you are converted from a PSU employee to a private employee. Is it clear? That is not a government job. I hope that is clear. So that is one thing. So that is the definition of state, generally speaking. Please write down Article 13. Article 13. Within this, write down. It provides for the doctrine of severability. It provides for the doctrine of severability and judicial review. Doctrine of severability and judicial review. Full stop. One thing I want to say, none are mentioned. Neither the judicial review nor the concept of severability is mentioned there, but the wording is like you can interpret them. So I will dictate that also. I think we had discussed severability and all. No? Okay. Full stop. Go ahead. Write down a subheading: Doctrine of severability. Doctrine of severability. Within this, write down the Constitution states. The Constitution states that the judiciary can check. The judiciary can check the law made. The judiciary can check the law made to evaluate whether they conflicts with fundamental rights or not. Whether they conflicts with fundamental rights or not. Full stop. The judiciary can declare. The judiciary can declare the amount of inconsistency. The judiciary can declare the amount of inconsistency as unconstitutional. The amount of inconsistency as unconstitutional. Full stop. For example, if a law has 20 provisions. For example, if a law has 20 provisions and 7 out of them, if a law has 20 provisions and 7 out of them are violating fundamental rights, and 7 out of them are violating fundamental rights, comma, then only those 7 provisions. Then only those 7 provisions will be held unconstitutional. Will be held unconstitutional. Full stop. The remaining 13 provisions will be implemented. The remaining 13 provisions will be implemented. Who is this? Automatically नहीं खुलता ना यहाँ पे. You have to pull the knob. चलिए, settle down. थक गए, जिम से आए हो क्या? Achha, okay. So I hope everyone is clear. Doctrine of severability we were discussing means the provisions. If 20 provisions are in the law, if 7 are conflicting the fundamental rights, 7 will be declared null and void, unconstitutional. The remaining 13 will be enforced as per. Now, why this doctrine was basically included? Because the logic is, suppose right to property. We will discuss that also in a bit. That there is something called as right to property. Earlier it used to be Article 31. Now it is no longer there. You had right to property. If government makes a law that they can take anyone's property whenever they like. So what the judiciary will say? Unconstitutional, because it violates what? Fundamental right. No, I'm just taking an example. Abhi to start kiya, we just started. Union and its territories and citizenships are done. Fundamental right we have just started. So Article 31, for example, says right to property. If if Parliament makes a law violating right to property, judiciary will declare it unconstitutional. But now imagine, now after it is now no longer in the Constitution. So what will happen to those laws which were declared unconstitutional? Now they will become constitutional. That is severability. Got the logic? As long as they conflict the fundamental right, they will remain unconstitutional. But when in future, if the constitution is amended and that right is excluded or diluted or whatever is done, and if now the law become consistent, then it will be declared again constitutional. Clear? So nothing remains unconstitutional forever. It is unconstitutional today, may not be tomorrow. Depends. कैसे चल रहा है? Is it clear? So we have written. Okay. Next, I don't know, a small line. What is that?
सर
Yes, Ritu.
मतलब जैसे आपने बताया, जैसे कोई आर्टिकल हटा दिया जाता है अमेंडमेंट के द्वारा, तो फिर उसके बाद जो केसेस वगैरह थे उनका क्या होता है?
इनका
जो केसेस वगैरह, मतलब उस जैसे किसी को सजा मिली है कोई, तो फिर वो दोबारा से रिन्यू होते हैं केस?
नहीं, देखिए, केसेस इज डिफरेंट. यहाँ पे हम अलग बात कर रहे हैं. इफ देयर इज समथिंग विद रिस्पेक्ट टू अ केस इज विद रिस्पेक्ट टू सम कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ऑफ फंडामेंटल. मान लेते हैं गवर्नमेंट ब्रॉट फार्म लॉज. इफ फार्म लॉज वायलेट फंडामेंटल राइट, सुप्रीम कोर्ट विल डिक्लेयर इट null and void. But when the fundamental rights will be amended and farm laws again become consistent, they will be revived. It is about farm laws, not cases. For example,
Okay,
criminal cases वो अलग है. उसमें आपने जब क्राइम किया तब अगर कानून था तो यू विल बी पनिश्ड. का फ्यूचर से कोई लेना नहीं. फ्यूचर में रिवाइज होता है तो आपकी पनिशमेंट पे कोई फर्क नहीं आएगा.
yes sir, that's what I want to ask. Thank you sir.
Okay, so now अच्छा हाँ, please write down judicial review. Within this, write down, it is the power of judiciary. It is the power of judiciary to review the legislation, comma, executive orders, legislations, comma, executive order, and even judicial orders. And even judicial orders to see their compliance, with the constitution. Okay, full stop. We will go in detail of judicial review in judiciary chapter. When we start judiciary, there are various kind of judicial review. What are they? Everything we will understand. Not here in judiciary chapter we are discussing. So I'll just give you a hint because it is not here. Now the article 14. Within this we have to understand three concepts. First is equality before law. The other one is equal protection of law. And the last one is rule of law. Basically, the article 14 to 18 deals with right to equality. You have 6 fundamental rights. Earlier, you used to have 7 fundamental rights. But later on, the right to property was deleted. It's a very important right, not for important for polity, but important for society and internal security. The naxalism that you face is a direct outcome of failure of land reforms. ठीक है, land reform में in GS paper 1 you have a topic called post independence India. In that you will study about this land reforms, most importantly land reforms, tenancy reforms and all. You will understand there. The history teacher will teach you. So in that you will understand everything. For our perspective, it is not important. For our perspective, what is important, we will go to that. Is it clear? Now, these are the three things: equality before law, equal protection of law, and rule of law. I hope everyone has seen that black strip on the eyes of the Statue of Justice. Kanun andha hai. Why we call Kanun andha hai? Okay, the logic is that black strip signifies that the Lady of Justice, the Statue of Justice, basically, the Lady of Justice does not distinguish you based on your status. For example, in front of the law, in front of a judge, if Ambani is there or you are there, the law will treat you equally. The law does not care who you are. That's equality before law. What is equal protection of? Now, it is but this is basically you can consider as the English principle or the British principle emerged in English constitution. But it is a very, I would say, philosophical understanding. No two individuals are same. Of course, Ambani and you, there is no comparison. You are the person, even if you are an IAS officer, you are the person who salutes Ambani. So that person is way more powerful than you. That person basically knows politician and everyone, funds them. वो तो ठीक है, but the thing is there is disproportionate balance of power here. You are way less powerful in front of that person. Or shall we reverse the case? If you are an IAS officer and the other person is a common citizen, there's too much disbalance of power between you. Then comes the principle of equal protection of law. The equal protection of law says that the weaker party will be given preference over the stronger party. It does not mean that law will be violated. If a stronger, for example, an IPS commits a murder or a common citizen commits a murder, both will be handed over same punishment. But the judge may give a lesser sentence to a common citizen. Why it will be? Because you, as an IPS, you are supposed to obey the law. You are the law officer. If you are violating a law, it's a severe crime. If a common citizen violates the law, nobody was expecting him to enforce the law. Got the point? If you are supposed to enforce the law and you violate the law, it's a bigger crime than a common citizen. So in that, the judge, it's judge specific largely. The judge may see that the person who are in the competition, an IPS versus the common citizen is very weak. So the judiciary can favor that person, not in punishment. If that person has committed a crime, he will be punished. That's not the thing. The thing is the judiciary will give a lesser, I would say, more consideration to that person. Now, this is the justification of reservation. Why the reservation was held valid? Reservation, not only I am talking about the reservation for SC, ST, OBC, reservation even, for example, a woman given, I hope you know Delhi Metro, the first course is reserved for a woman. It's a kind of discrimination. But in the eyes of law, it is equal protection of law. The law considers them as a weaker party, whether we like it or not. It is constitution mein, fundamental rights mein, we will understand 15. In that, the women and children are given special status. The constitution says that no one can be discriminated on the basis of race, religion, caste, sex, place of birth. Sex is the primary criteria, but it also says that a woman and a children can be differentiated. A special card for a woman in a metro is not a violation of law. It is not a violation of discrimination. Is it clear? So that how, from where all that come? Equal protection of law. The law indeed treats all of you equal, but still it will give more consideration to the weaker party. I hope it's clear. It is known as US tradition. This much is clear. Next is rule of law. I believe everyone hear this every day. What is rule of law? The law which has rules. Anyone online? What is rule of law? Make a general argument. कोई नहीं, कुछ नहीं बोलना. जैसे पिताजी कहते हैं ना, मैंने बोला यही होगा. I told you to come home at 10 o'clock. I don't care. You have to come. It's my law. ठीक है? And you have to abide by my law. That is not rule of law. If your father scolds you for coming late at 10 o'clock drunk and he drinks in house, then the law is not equal. It's not rule of law. It's what? There are two different terms. We will not dwell in philosophy here. But rule of law basically means the rule of law. The law is supreme. The term is lex supremus. Lex supremus. Law is supreme. Everyone is subordinate to the law. If the Prime Minister of India violates the law or a common citizen violates the law, both will be punished. If, for example, murders give you death penalty. If you commit a murder, you will be handed over a death penalty. So it does not matter whether you are the Prime Minister of India or a common citizen of India. Both will be punished equally in principle. Real life may we know there is no equality. That's why we have equal protection of law also. Because यहाँ तक सबको समझ में आ गया, rule of law means lex supremus, and it also evolved under English Constitution. How it evolved under English Constitution? Because earlier what used to happen, we used to have something called as kings and queens. And they used to be supreme. Whatever the king said was the law. Whatever the king judged was the justice. Whatever the king did was the execution. So king was everything. We thought, nahi bhai, this will not work. a very good thing happened in UK basically, a glorious revolution, 1680s, I believe. Have we talked about glorious revolution? बात किया होगा, I believe. People online है? Westphalia, no, that was not glorious revolution. That's a different. That was a fight between church and the state. नहीं बात करी इस क्लास में. Cool. देखिए, ब्रिटेन में there were two revolution. One was in 1640, other was in 1680s. This was known as Puritan. It was a bloodbath, supreme bloodbath. This is you will study in world history. I'm just
correction, sir. This we discussed. The Puritan and the glorious war that we discussed. Yes.
डिस्कस हो गया था ना. चलो देखिए, ओके, देखिए व्हाट हैपेंड इन 1680s was the glorious revolution. In glorious revolution, basically the parliament of Britain ousted the kings and the queen and appointed the new one. If I have the power to remove the prime minister of India, so who is supreme? Prime minister of India? I became the supreme. So parliament of UK removed the kings and the queens and appointed a new one. So basically parliament became supreme. I thought we did discuss starting when we were comparing the constitutions. Okay, from there comes the principle of lex rex, supremus. Earlier what used to be the principle rex. These are Latin terms. If you can remember, fine. If you cannot, doesn't matter. Okay. Rex lex means king is the law. And now we live in the world of lex rex. The law is the king. All are Latin phrases. No need to remember them if you cannot. Is it clear? So the logic is clear. The rule of law means law is supreme. So in this we have to study a person by the name of A.B. Desai. He has defined what is rule of law. First thing, no one can be punished without authority of law. For example, currently, if you go for our inter-religious marriage, it's not a violation of law. You love a Muslim woman, marry her. Of course, there are certain people who are the thekedar of this society, who have no other business except poking in other business. So those people will object. But as per the law, it is not a violation. But tomorrow, if the government of India makes a law that inter-religious marriage is a violation, so then what will happen? If you do that, you will be prosecuted by who? The law. Again, remember, I'm not saying the law is ethical or not. Ethics is different. For example, a soldier killing an innocent, crossfire, if a soldier does a lathi charge, some people die. IPS officer orders that. If I kill a certain individual, in both cases, a life is lost. Both are immoral. But what happens in case of a police officer, it is legal. Clear? In that case, it's legal. Immoral, it is also there. Morality is different. What I'm all saying is authority of law. If the law says, you can do it. Is it clear? One thing also he said that the law, that the constitution of the country is the outcome of general law or evolution. This principle does not apply in India. He basically said the constitution came out of an evolution that happened in Britain. Over time, they fought for basically the democracy. No? They established parliament, a supreme institution. For that, they suffered a Puritan revolution. A lot of life was lost. Then came the glorious revolution. So they slowly came to what they are today. That a Hindu person can become the prime minister of Britain. Rishi Sunak, something his name is. That person can become the prime minister of Britain. That's the beauty of the British democracy. That they are not looking at the religion of the person, the values of the person, but the patriotism of a person. I won't like to compare that to anyone in India because I love my freedom. Okay? Anyway, everyone is clear? So rule of law basically is no one can be punished without the authority of law. The constitution is the outcome of the general law. And the third point is? What was the third point? No one can be punished without the violation of law. Means if a law says, same example, if a law says you cannot marry a other religious person, then what you are doing? You are violating the law. Then you can be prosecuted by whom? Authority of the law. Both are different. In one case, you are violating the law. Other case, this case is empowering you to take action. This case is holding you guilty of a crime. Clear hai? So what is rule of law? If I define, it's a supreme law. Law means law runs the world, not the individual. Now comes the very good question that I want to ask you people after discussing this. Let's have some moral part debate also. What was Kasab? When Kasab, we all know Jamal Kasab, the terrorist of 2008 basically. So he was basically given entire treatment in India. Proper law, rule of law was followed. Proper due course of law was followed. He was given a lawyer. He was given everything you can imagine a convict must be given. Okay, a lot of people criticize that. Okay, from certain parties, they criticize that you basically give biryani to a terrorist. What do you think? Was it good? Personal opinion. Yeah, of course, argument can be always.
Apart from that, the night terrorists were given eyes and all.
Of course. देखिए, a basic argument that I always say is we had no love for this person. He had to die. We all knew this. But what we loved was justice. Justice is not about punishment. It's about reform. First thing. Second thing. देखिए, if you can deny this to him, you can deny this to anyone. Imagine if tomorrow government of India brands anyone as a terrorist, whosoever question governments of India or any government of state, doesn't matter. Everyone is a dictator, more or less. If you question, मान लीजिए केजरीवाल को tomorrow you question and the Kejriwal government impose this draconian law, which we will discuss later, on you, then if once a principle is settled in the society that a person bandit terrorist can never be taken recourse to law, you must be given a chance to prove you are innocent. So remember, when we gave him legal assistance, we did not love him. We loved justice. We wanted to ensure that by branding somebody terrorist, tomorrow the state will not deny your rights. People ke problem kya? They get emotional. I understand emotion. That's why law is not emotions. You get emotional, bhai, this was a terrorist, he killed a lot of people, including our officers, honest officers, or whatever may be the case. जो भी है, according to some BJP MP, they were corrupt. ठीक है? I think Pragya Thakur said this. Anyway, that's a political debate. But the point here is that law, once you start violating the law on extreme case, you can do to anything. Remember, I always say genocide begins with dehumanization. First you dehumanize the individual, then genocide comes. Hitler, what Hitler did? Hitler dehumanized Jews in Germany as parasites. And when you develop the psyche, ki samne wala, the person in front of you is not human, then you can treat them by any measure. A lot of people who do lynching, for example, prostitution, the people who are involved, don't they have female in their life? They have. For them, they are human. The women they trade are not. So what has happened is dehumanization. You're getting my point? Dehumanization is the first point of genocide. In this case, just because a person is bandit terrorist by the state and you deny them the right to representation, then you can deny that right to anyone. And that is not me saying, Delhi police. This is the Supreme Court of India saying. We will have that judgment also. Supreme Court of India has itself said in numerous judgments that no one can deny representation to anyone, even if that person is branded as a terrorist. Let you prove. If that person is terrorist, prove that in the court and that person will be given punishment, due punishment. So is it clear? We did not love this person. We loved due process of law. Because if once you give an exception to a law, then you can give exemption to kisi ko bhi. Then comes the encounters. Encounters, all these things, why they happen? Because you start giving exemption. And remember, once the exemptions come, everyone clear? Yahan tak everyone is clear? Then let's have last argument and we will finish it. Signal loss. You people can listen me, hear me?
Yes, sir. We just lost you for like 5-10 seconds. Just a bit.
Yes, sir.
Most of the argument were heard, na?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We heard you. We heard you loud and clear.
Chalo. Okay, with this, we want to discuss one concept. Then I will dictate. That concept is soft state. Very important concept. Soft state. What do you understand by soft state? Can anyone tell me? Okay, we discussed equal. But yes, Ritu, go ahead.
No, sir, nothing. I don't know.
I think you opened the mic. You are about to say anything. Yeah, you must know. No, हमने discuss किया polity वगैरह में. Anyway, anyone else? Any idea what is soft state? Can you drive something out of this term itself? Yes, ठीक है, बिल्कुल सही argument बनता है. Yes, some leniency is there. Anything else?
We just soft corner for everyone.
Everyone. Soft corner is right, but not for everyone. What do you think? I hope you remember we discussed in the very first class of polity that we will understand entire polity in the context of post-colonialism. We discussed now that all the concepts we study in polity economy, where especially polity and IR. IR is known as American Social Sciences. Everything you study in IR, all concepts were driven by American scholars. Same goes with polity. Polity is basically European social sciences. All concepts are Westerns. Okay? First thing. So I told you all concepts were imported. Why Rishi Sunak can become the Prime Minister of Britain? Not, for example, a minority in India, but Prime Minister, Muslim especially. Why? What is the difference? The difference is evolution. They fought for a democracy. We imported it. If you fight, for example, you are, of course, for a very year you fight to become an IAS, then you become an IAS. The kind of cherishedness you will have, Rahul Gandhi will not have that. Rahul Gandhi got the presidency of Congresship by a silver spoon, by lineage. He was born a Gandhi. Okay? Kharge, who now has become the whatever, maybe the link, he won by hard work. Maybe you can argue quality of hard work. Baat kariye something that you fight for. You cherish that more than the other person. Is it clear? I just told you both concepts. Rule of law emerged in Britain. Equal protection law emerged in US. Equality before law emerged in UK. So none of our concept. Okay? Up comes the soft state. What is a soft state? Scholars argue that country like India, China is also included there. These developing countries, it is easy to violate law. The soft state is a state where you can violate a law without any fear. Imagine the case of Corona. Corona came, you must have seen, all have seen the video, no? The policeman beat the common citizen going on bikes and all. Dholak baja di thi sabki. Saw that. But the Prime Minister of India in the same time and the various chief ministers of the states went without mask everywhere. They held rallies of thousands and thousands of people. Corona guidelines were there, na? Do you think the khaki that you are so much aspiring to be have the guts to find the Prime Minister of India for violating Corona guidelines? Do you think? That's soft state. A state where if you are powerful, you are connected, you can violate law with impunity. And compare it with Norway. Norway, during Corona guidelines time, the lockdown was imposed. Nobody could have party and all. The Prime Minister of Norway had a party. The police of Norway fined her. The Prime Minister of Norway was fined by the police of Norway for violating a law which was made by the government itself. That's the difference between a state and a soft state. Now the concept is clear. The state where you can violate law just because you're connected, you're well powerful, that's a soft state. And what is the weakness? It perpetuates harassment. Let me give you a very relevant example. There was an IAS officer. I'm forgetting the state. I think Haryana or Rajasthan it was. So that IAS officer's daughter was molested by a politician's son. Imagine an IAS officer, secretary level IAS officer. His daughter was molested by a son of a Haryana, I think it was. Son of a politician, and that person could not do anything. क्या कर सकता था? At most FIR was filed, this was done, and no, everybody knew nothing will happen. Imagine Gurmeet Ram Rahim, that person is out on bail, and the BJP politicians are going in front of him, calling him Bapu. Why this is happening? Why a rapist convicted murderer who is known for heinous crimes is out and the people are worshipping him? अभी भी कर रहे हैं. Why an IAS officer who thinks that here that person is so much powerful is unable to protect his own daughter? Why? Soft state. Because, and that's the reason you people are preparing for civil services. Power. How many of you are here for power? More or less everyone is here for power. Anyone who is not here for power? Bolo guys, online people do interact.
But still, he can take some measures, no? Like,
क्या मेजर ले लोगे? वो पॉलिटिशियन का रहना है, बर्बाद कर देगा. आपको क्या लगता है दैट पर्सन मस्ट नॉट हैव डन एनीथिंग? फिर फाइलें खुलेंगी. समझ गए ना बात को? ठीक है, इसलिए नहीं कर पाएगा कुछ. एनीवे, आई वाज आस्किंग पीपल ऑनलाइन. बट आई वाज आस्किंग, मैं तो भूल ही गया. क्या पूछा था मैंने? हाँ, सॉरी. हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू आर नॉट फॉर पावर? वाई लिख सकते हो भाई, शर्माने की जरूरत नहीं है. एक भी नहीं है. कूल. No one is. Why you people worship power? Because society worship power. Society worship power. You can use this example there. Easily you can say in interview. Why you are here for power? Because society worship power. You know you will become an IAS, you have reputation. Some people maybe for big Dahej also. Dowry and all. Okay. So it's a fact I'm saying you. I know personally. There was a woman. She was bitten. She was domestically bitten by an IPS officer. It's Uttarakhand story, and the family could not find even a police station to file an FIR. He's that much powerful, an IPS officer. ठीक है, तो the reason was dowry. IPS बन के भी dowry मांग लो, शर्म नहीं आई. ठीक है. Anyway, what I was trying to emphasize here is power. देखिए, power के साथ problem होती है. Power के साथ the biggest problem is it corrupts. Power, biggest thing is power corrupts. If you are powerless, you say sir. If you are not if you are powerful, you say, oh, idhar aa. So you're getting this point. It is linked to everything. A woman suffering domestic violence, a parents let off by the kids, because when parents are old, the kids are young, they are powerful vis-a-vis the parents. A society which expect you to become an IAS, and if you are not, then they will say, "Ha, 6 साल मेहनत करके क्या करा? Wasted your parents' money." So why all this is happening? Everything from prostitution, gun crime, from everything, the PM violating. So it starts with the top. When the Prime Minister of India is not fined for not wearing a mask, then it sends a signal in the entire society. If you are powerful, you are above the law. And who does not like that? Who does not like to overspeed a sports bike at 120 when there is a limit of 40? Who does not like that? The adrenaline that you will get. Who does not like to do a karobar? Who does not like to do that? Is it clear? So this soft state is not only a concept.
with power business is possible.
Sorry?
With power business is possible.
With power business. What kind of business?
So you are for the service that you and I can have.
No, conflict of interest will be there if somebody files a complaint, and you will be in jeopardy. But the thing is, everyone does that by friends and इसके उसके नाम से करते हैं. तो तभी तो हुआ. That person, why you think? If you want to understand, let me give you a very real life example. I give you an example. Please do search. Please write down the name. Do search that ethical case study. Ruchika Grihotra case. Please study that. Then you will understand the abuse of power and why the soft state matters. Why this principle matters. Ruchika Grihotra. Please do. It's a very good ethical case study for your GS paper 4. What happened? There was an IPS officer, I think again in Haryana. I think Haryana. DGP rank officer was there. That person basically used to let off his daughter. Okay, in a school. So there was her friend. He molested her, a school girl. That IPS officer molested her, and the entire family, or the family was not poor. It was sufficiently rich. They were living in the same location as him. Same location. So they tried to file complaint and all. It never worked. It went to the extreme that the police personnel started to harass the family. Ultimately, the family blamed the girl. The girl committed suicide. And the IPS officer basically rewarded when this news broke out in the news. So he was basically suspended and all, and he lived his life in luxury. He never faced the brunt of the law. You got the point? You are powerful, you are above the law. And that breeds power hungriness, and that breeds everything from domestic violence to it. And who is responsible? The people at the top hierarchy. If the Prime Minister of India would have fined for not wearing a mask, you do not require police personnel using batons. If he can be fined, then it will send a signal that if he can be fined, then anyone else can be fined. You got the point? वो तो rally वाली निकाल रहे थे, मस्त घूम रहे थे. So remember why I'm insisting on this point very much. It's a very important concept, and it's very important for what? Your all society issues. And why we have a soft state? Because all these concepts like law and all, they were imported in India, did not evolve in India. That's why everything is linked. That's why, for example, the Supreme Court, when Supreme Court says prostitution is a profession, a lot of people does not like that statement. When Supreme Court says adultery is not a crime, when Supreme Court says LGBT has the right, and Indu Malhotra said the history owes an apology to the LGBT community. A very strong statement. Lesbian, gay, bisexual people. So even for you people, you are so literate, na? Even somebody call you gay, you will be offended. And there are various terms that we use for such kind of people. But that's why she said, na, history owes an apology to him, to LGBT community. A lot of communities, all these Maulanas and Pandits who fight on panels na, with each other for everything. On that issue, they were one. हाँ बिल्कुल सही बात है, गलत है. Whenever there is regressive thing, the society, all these elements of society, ठेकेदार of society come together. Whenever there is a progressive thing, they come together to oppose that. Whenever there is a regressive thing, they fight with each other itself in the name of progression. Get the point? Everything is linked, and the reason is we are a soft state. Clear? And the reason soft state, why it is, because all the concepts are imported, not evolved. Clear? That's we discuss. You can use this concept anywhere, in your governance, in your social, in question on your society, in an ethics paper, as well as an interview. Everyone clear? Any question, please ask, then I will dictate. We don't have time. नहीं ऐसे नहीं बोलना ना फॉर पावर, फॉर सर्विस ही बोलोगे आप. ऑफ कोर्स यू विल से सर्विस, बट यू कैन, देखिए उन्हें भी पता है, वो भी बेवकूफ नहीं, सबको पता है किस लिए आया, सबको पता है. ठीक है, वो ठीक है, बट ऑफ कोर्स यू कैन गो, सुनी सुनाई बातें, बट नहीं, देयर इज अ डिफरेंस. द वे ऑफ स्पीकिंग मैटर्स. Everyone understand power, but you can mold that word to say I love the status, but club it with I will. Of course, देखिए बहुत से, मैंने आपको एग्जांपल दिया, आईपीएस ऑफिसर बीटिंग हिज वाइफ फॉर व्हाट, डाउरी. तो ऐसे लोग भी निकले हैं यूपीएससी पैनल से, बट ऐसा नहीं है ऐसे ही लोग निकले. दे आर गुड पीपल आल्सो. प्लीज डू सर्च अ पर्सन कॉल्ड, I think highwayman or roadman he is called in Nagaland or somewhere. That's an IAS officer. That person constructed 100 kilometer of road without government help. ऐसे लोग भी हमारे पास. Armstrong Pame, that's the name. अब ऐसे तो बहुत. I'm not saying bad people are always there. They're good people also. That's why UPSC introduced the ethics paper. It did not used to be there. Later on it was introduced. A good paper, it should be from nursery, I believe. ठीक है, पहले दिन से, because value morality comes from the childhood, not above. And it's hard to fight society. ठीक है, इतना आसान नहीं होता. चलो कोई नहीं, चलता रहता है. I hope everyone is clear. Then I am gonna start dictation. Please write down article. Well, write down the heading of the chapter is right to equality. Subheading: right to equality. Within this, Article 14. Right to equality. Please, I don't. Article 14 confers. Article 14 confers on all individuals. Article 14 confers on all individuals two types of rights. Two types of rights under right to equality. Two types of rights under right to equality, namely equality before law, and equal protection of law. Equality before law and equal protection of law. Okay. Now write down subheading equality before law. Equality before law. Within this, write down. It is a concept. It is a concept based on the idea. It is a concept based on the idea that all men, based on the idea that all men are created equal. Full stop. Now we are using the word men because the entire history and philosophy and polity has been written from man's perspective. So when we are using man, because it has been traditionally used to interpret that as humans. Okay. Okay. Full stop. After that, write down as a legal principle. As a legal principle, it took shape. As a legal principle, it took shape under which constitution? English or US? English constitution. Took shape under English constitution. Full stop. It is regarded as a negative concept. It is regarded as a negative concept because it denies the absence of privilege. Because it denies the absence of privilege to any individual. Absence of privilege to any individual in the eyes of the law. Is it okay? Full stop. For example, if two individuals with different status, commits a similar crime, comma, they will be punished by equal punishment. Next, write down equal protection of law. Next is equal protection of law. Within this, write down it originated as a concept. Where it originated? Yes, in the US Constitution. Full stop. It is regarded as a positive concept. Because it tilts, tilts, because it tilts the favor of the law. To a weaker party. favor of the law to a weaker party. Full stop. For example, an IPS, and an individual, violates the red light. An individual violates the red light, semicolons, then a judge may let off. Then a judge may let off the concerned individual with mild fine, but will punish
Sir, with mild?
fine, F-I-N-E, fine, but will punish the IPS with a greater penalty. Full stop. Next para. The policies of the government in the favor of women, children, SC, ST, and so on are covered under this doctrine. Full stop. अच्छा 5 मिनट बचे हैं, पहले ही बंद कर दिया. चलो वैसे भी about to end the class. Tomorrow we will write down about soft state and rule of law. 2 things are remaining. Do remind me. Okay. So with that note, we shall end the class and have a nice day. Happy learning. We will meet again tomorrow.
Bye bye, sir.
Yes. Very good. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir. Good day.
Very welcome.